Welcome to Vapefog Reviews, Tutorials, and Gear. Today, we're taking a look at the iClearX.I from Innokin. Okay guys, so most of you, unless you're extremely new to vaping, have probably already heard of the iClearX.I. This tank has been out for some time now. That was one of the first tanks that I got when I started vaping back in April of 2014. In fact, I think it was the second tank that I got. I think I got a SVD and then a starter kit, the SVD starter kit with an iClear 30, I think it was. And that had the plastic tank. Well, the iClearX.I has the Pyrex. So what we're going to do, I know that this is an older tank, but it's actually a pretty good tank. So what we're going to do is go up close and take this thing apart. I'm going to fill it with some e-juice, give it a vape, and let you know what my thoughts and opinions are. Okay, so let's go up close and check this out. Okay, so the first thing I want you guys to see here is the company where I purchased this. I purchased this at Mount Baker Vapor, and they're located out in Washington State. You can see their address right there, Bellingham, Washington. And that's Mount Baker Vapor. This is a fantastic company, man. Check them out at mountbakervapor.com. When I first started vaping roughly 5 months ago, I don't know, I probably bought close to $2,000 worth of vape gear from these guys. So, and you can always get an ongoing discount, Vapor from Baker, and you'll always get 10% off of your order. And that's pretty cool. So here's the product. This is the iClear X1 box. We're going to take this out. This is all that it has in it, by the way. Okay, so here's the tank up close. Right there you can plainly see it says iClear X1. Okay. Then common to Innokin products, we have a drip tip that's on a swivel, and this is threaded. And I do like the drip tip. I mean, it's got a tight draw to it. I like the style of it. But I wish they wouldn't have made this threaded, because you can't use any other drip tips with this. Like, for example, here's a newer Ferro wide bore drip tip. I mean, it will go in there, but see that? So it's made for their drip tip, just put it that way. Okay, now the base, this has your coil in it, and that is your coil right there. And just like a lot of other tanks, it simply twists out. Okay. And then this is what the coil looks like up close. So it looks like there's 4 in there. And these coils, they run about $2.50. The tank itself, by the way, you can get it at Mount Baker Vapor. I think they're still running about 22 bucks. Okay, so let's go ahead and put the coil back in. So what we do there is it's threaded. You see the threads? You just set it down in there and just turn it back into place until it stops. Okay, I'm going to set that down. Okay, and that's how you would fill this, by the way. If I was using something like this right here, you go back in there. Well, you can see it. See that right there? So in order to fill this, you would go like down beside that. See that? You never go in that center hole. If you go in that center hole right there, as you can see my finger on the other end, it's going to go through your drip tip into your mouth, and it's going to flood and everything else. Okay, so anyway, let's take this thing apart. Now, I've seen people in other videos. I got some e-juice in there. It's okay because I'm going to fill it up with that same juice. I've seen other people in other videos sitting there doing this, twisting on this thing, but that is not, and I repeat, that is not how this tank comes apart. It simply pulls apart. See that? If you just wiggle it, give it a good little wiggle, it comes right apart. But you want to be careful though, because you don't want to put too much pressure if you're going back and forth like that, or like this. You don't want to put too much pressure on that Pyrex. So if it does help you to twist it, try to twist it off there, I suppose that's fine. But as you can see, this is not threaded. This is just a rubber gasket that fits around the Pyrex tank. See that? And that comes off of there. Okay, and then the same thing with this side. It just pulls apart. And these come off. See that? Now that's inside out. So I want to turn that back around like that. And this is Pyrex glass. And it's pretty thin Pyrex too, so be very careful with it. So in order to reassemble that, we just put our little rubber pieces back on, little gaskets there. And then it doesn't matter which end of this you put on there. Okay. Just slide that back on. Take the bottom side. And it doesn't look like there's any gasket down there. This takes up all of that. This is the gasket. And then that piece slides on. And now, to fill it, pull this back off. Get that straightened up there. There we go. Okay. And that is on there tight. I mean, I'm pulling on it right there, and it's not coming apart. I mean, you see that it takes a little bit of pressure to get it off of there. Okay, then let's go ahead and fill this. This is a strawberry, some ripe strawberry from the Flavor Apprentice. So you can see that right there. Looks like 3 milliliters. And you can see that there very well. Maybe right there. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and fill this up. Well, I ain't going to fill it all the way up. I just want to vape it here real quick. Let you see it working. I'll put a mill or two in there. Then we take our coil, pop that back on, or our base, I mean, my fault. And then in order to get this good and tight, you might want to put your thumb and fingers on that and then just kind of push it together there. And here's the drip tip. And I'm going to let that coil and then wicks soak up some of that e-juice for a second. You can see I didn't put very much in there, but I put enough to test this out for you. So I'm gonna let this soak up for a minute, and then we'll go back up top, and I'll take a vape. Okay, so we see here that this is a 2.2 ohm coil, and it's at 16 watts. This is on the, of course, once again on my Canamod DNA 30. So let's go ahead and give this a vape. 16 watts might be a bit high for this, but I'm going to try it out anyway. Let's go ahead and do this. .1 is the actual correct reading there. So we'll give it one more vape. I'm going to tone this down, put it down to about 12 watts and vape it one more time. This actually has good flavor and good vapor. I mean, I've never had any problems with this tank whatsoever. So there we are at 12 watts. Give it a vape. I mean, as you can hear, it makes quite a bit of noise, but I think that's just typical of Innokin products. As far as the tanks go, I'm not saying anything about their mods or nothing. I own a couple of those too. Let's take it up to 25 watts. Let's just see what happens. I'll probably burn the coil out or something, but it's supposed to be regulated, so let's see what happens. Okay, so here's 25 watts on the iClearX.I from Innokin. And yeah, that definitely had a slight burnt taste to it. Let's hit the fire button and see what voltage is on this. 7.3 volts. Alright, let's back that down. 16 didn't seem to bother it too much at all. Let's try 18. There we go, 18 watts. Let's give this one a shot. Not burnt. But I would say the optimal range on this thing is probably somewhere between, I think we can take this down to about 7. So somewhere between 7 up to 16, 17 watts, and you're good to go. Let's try it on 7. Let's give it a fire and see what the voltage is. 3.9, and that's telling me, see how that's blinking? That's telling me that the wattage is actually too low. I mean, I can still vape it there. But that's telling me that it's not optimal for this particular coil. So you'd probably go up to 8 and that would be different. Yeah, 4.1. So that's about average. Most people's vaping somewhere in this area, probably, I would imagine. That's where I was at for a long time, for about the first month or so, when I first started vaping. So let's try this out again here at 8.5 watts and 4.4 volts. So that's not too bad, but for me, whoops, it's definitely got to be higher. I'm used to vaping on RDAs and stuff like that. But for something like this, right around 12 watts is probably optimal. That's 5.1 volts. And as you can see, you get killer vapor production off of that. And the flavor is fantastic. This tank is one of those tanks that people just kind of bypass it, but it's just one of those little gems of a tank, man. You can put any kind of juice in it, and it just works well. It has great flavor. The coils aren't extremely expensive as compared to something like the Aspire Nautilus line, the regular and the mini. which are like $18 for 5. You know, of course, these are right around 10 or 12 bucks for 5, but still, it's still cheaper. So the flavor on this is not quite as good as it would be on, say, the Aspire Nautilus Mini, but it's still very good. The tank is definitely worth $22, and I would imagine that's at Mount Baker Vapor. And not knocking them, but you could probably pick that up cheaper on eBay. I find a lot of stuff on eBay way cheaper than I do at vape shops. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. But I definitely recommend this tank. I've had it for about 5 months now, and I don't use it a lot because I use stuff like the K-Fun Lite Plus version 2 and the Aspire Nautilus Mini. Those are, and plus my Trident RDA and the Atomic and the Zenith and some others. But even still, this is an absolutely great tank. It's reliable. The coils work well in it. Everything about it is affordable. You can put any kind of juice you want in there because it is Pyrex glass. The only thing that I would change about this is I would like to see the drip tips to be made to where you can put whatever drip tip you want on there. And in fact, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think that they have an updated version of this where you can actually put whatever drip tip you want. So the iClearX.I from Innokin. It's a really nice tank. I highly recommend it. It's got great vapor production, and you see me vape it from basically 7 to 18 watts or so, and it worked just fine. Once I got up to 25, it was a little burnt taste, but so the optimal range is between about 8 watts and I would say 8 watts and about 15 watts or so, 16. And you're going to get excellent flavor and excellent vapor every time. It's just an all-around great tank. It functions well. It doesn't have any airflow control. That's another little issue with it. But it does have decent airflow. I mean, you've seen that the cloud looks pretty good. The vapor production is pretty good. I mean, it just works well. That's it. That's my take on the iClearX.I from Innokin. Thanks for watching, guys. Please remember to subscribe to my channel, comment, like, share my videos with everybody, and take care. Till next time, happy vaping.